from the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome to Capitol View. Thanks for being with us. The 90th General Assembly is officially over. Lawmakers gathering one final time this week for the ritual we know as Sine Die. And of course, there's a lot to unpack from this session. We'll do that in a moment with Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Plus, tomorrow marks 1 year since the devastating tornado changed two Arkansas towns forever. Who can forget these images? The mayors of Mayflower and Vilonia join us to discuss the progress made in the last 365 days. But we begin with big developments in court this week. ExxonMobil and government officials reaching a settlement over a lawsuit filed in the wake of the Mayflower oil spill. The company will pay more than $5 million in fines. Capitol View's Drew Petrimo has been covering the oil spill since day one. He explains the concerns that amount $5 million, not enough to compensate for the extensive damage done.
We see oil on top of the water quite often.
Oil sheen can still be spotted in parts of the Cove area of Lake Conway. Oil-absorbent boom still stretches across the water, and some abandoned homes in the Northwood subdivision are still for sale.
There was a big mistake made when the oil spill happened.
Robin Lang's home sits on the shores of the Cove. We caught up with her after it was announced ExxonMobil reached a settlement in a lawsuit filed by state and federal authorities.
No, it's not enough. It's not near enough.
$5 million may seem like a lot, but consider this. ExxonMobil made $6.6 billion in the last quarter, meaning it could pay off the fine with money earned in just over 100 minutes.
This spill might have been avoided.
Attorney Ross Nolan represents more than 40 spill victims and says Exxon's agreement in the lawsuit to address pipeline safety means the company wasn't doing enough before the spill.
Many of the plaintiffs in our case left their home on March 29, 2013 and didn't return.
But it's not just some homeowners who disappeared after oil started flowing and never came back.
As far as the deer and rabbits, you know, things of that nature, beavers, we don't see those not at all like we used to.
Drew Petrimo reporting. Also in the settlement agreement, the government and Exxon agreed to the spill volume is an estimated 134,000 gallons. That's 60% of the original estimate. And while the fine is just $5 million, ExxonMobil says it spent $91 million in cleanup efforts. Here to discuss more on this, the settlement specifically, and much more, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you for having me on, Bob.
I guess Wednesday is your first 100 days.
It was, and it was first 100 days in office. We accomplished many things, and this consent decree that we had with the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Justice, to acknowledge and for Exxon to agree to this consent decree that it is responsible for that oil spill and that crude oil that ran out into the neighborhoods and on into Lake Conway in 2013.
This was, well, for lack of better terms, a big mess out there, and certainly something your predecessor began to handle. And then you come into office, and then you've got ExxonMobil on your on your desk. What is it like to essentially go up against one of the largest, if not most profitable companies on the planet? Powerful, too.
There is no issue too small. There is no issue too great that I will not take on. As you know, for Arkansans, as their attorney, and whether it's a big company like Exxon or a small company, we're going to protect Arkansans. What is so important and impactful about this consent decree, Bob, is not just the money amount. There will never be enough money to make those that were affected by it whole. What's critical, why I've called it a critical victory, is because of the things that ExxonMobil has agreed to in the future should they decide to reopen that pipeline, which runs across the state, to prevent something of this nature from happening again.
So you've got agreements aside from money, because a lot of people say, you know, $5 million, as we saw in the piece, they can make that up in a couple minutes.
Absolutely, and when you have a company the size of ExxonMobil, but again, those families will never be made whole. They will never be back in their houses. We can't turn back time, and that's why Arkansans helping Arkansans as they do so well and step up in time of need. But again, the big victory in this consent decree is what Exxon has agreed to do moving forward, and the safety measures, the technology that they will use moving forward to ensure that we don't have a recurrence of this.
Some people say those are things probably money just can't buy.
Absolutely.
We've got them to agree with. Moving on, developments in the restart executions in the state of Arkansas. The Supreme Court has said that constitutionally we can move forward. Then we move forward and we can legally get these drugs. But now that's turned into a problem getting a hold of the drugs for lethal injection. Where do we stand? Is there going to be some resolution on this anytime soon, or are we just looking way down the road?
Well, we are looking down the road. This won't be something that executions will not start up in the next week or two. There is another court case based on statute legislation that was passed in this last session with regard to confidentiality of the providers of the drugs that have been so hard to come by. It is my goal and my intention to work with legislators to handle this case in court as the state's lawyer to ensure that we do get the death penalty back up and running in Arkansas, to give those families of victims the closure that they deserve, that they need.
How about changing out the way an execution is carried out? There's been some discussion about that.
There has been, and that is a question for the legislators. One thing that I've been intent on as the Attorney General is to focus on being the lawyer for the state. And I would encourage people, if they would like to see changes made in the method of execution, to speak with their legislators about that.
Want to move on to the same-sex marriage. That's something that's been discussed quite a bit, especially over this latest session. And a lot of justices now that we're going to rehear some of these arguments. You thought that was a good idea because we've got new justices up there, but then we've got justices who now recuse themselves from this. So does that kind of muddy the waters to try to get this to move forward for you?
Well, there's two separate cases, and I think that's the important distinction to make, is that in the original lawsuit that was filed by plaintiffs challenging the traditional definition of marriage between one man and one woman, those arguments were held in November. When I came on on January 13th, I did ask the court that the justices that were new, that the current court be the ones to decide that case. They now have broken that decision off into a new case. So now there is a new case to decide who will decide the case. And it's in that second case that justices have recused. They have not recused from the original case itself.
So there's a case to decide the case, or decide who's going to decide the case.
That is correct, and yes.
And I'm not even sure what I just said.
And so
it's a complicated issue.
It is, but it's important for people to understand that there are two separate cases. One is to decide who will make the decision on the original case itself, which is challenging Arkansas's traditional marriage, or rather Arkansas's definition of traditional marriage as between one man and one woman under the Arkansas Constitution. And
then this summer we're expected to hear something from the Supreme Court. Will that supersede everything that's decided down here?
It will depend what the United States Supreme Court decides and how they make that decision.
So more to come on that.
Absolutely, more to come.
On the issue of gay rights, this week you also certified a ballot title to basically, what some might say, repeal the Senate Bill 202, which prevents cities from putting, and I want to get this correct, prevents cities from expanding anti-discrimination ordinances. This has been a hot topic, and a lot of folks say that this is something that get it where it needs to be, make sure everyone's comfortable. Now it appears that we'll put 202 off to the voters if this ballot title gets approved.
Right. Well, first thing for listeners, viewers to know, and for you to know, is that the Attorney General, I'm charged with approving or rejecting or substituting ballot titles. And I make it very clear that it by no means does it say that I support the measure or I oppose the measure. It's the role that I play is to ensure that whatever is put before the citizens to vote on, that it is clear that they understand exactly what they're voting on. As to this, yes, it is SB 202, which is now an act, simply says that a city, municipality, county cannot put in a rule or an ordinance that creates a new classification of those a new protected class that's not already in state law.
Well, Attorney General Leslie Roach, thank you very much for your time. Your first 100 days very busy. I'm sure the next 100 are going to be just as, if not more so.
It is, and we have a lot to do still. Thanks, Bob.
Look forward to coming back. Thanks very much. When we come back, hard to believe, the destruction you see here a full year ago. Two mayors who've overseen massive rebuilding operation joining us to discuss their area's comeback. You've got a Capitol View this Sunday morning.
Looks like it's coming. Your life doesn't have to stop when the power goes out.
you can protect your home from power loss even during ice and snowstorms with one call to Power Systems by Royal. Our standby power systems turn on automatically and run on the natural gas line in your home, so you don't have to worry about dragging it out, filling it up, and running an extension cord throughout your home. Get power to your entire house within seconds. Keep important things like your refrigerator, lights, water, and heating unit running no matter what happens.
Call Royal Windows and More about a power system for your home. Get a free first-year maintenance agreement. Ask about interest-free financing. Make the call today about a power system to Royal Windows and More. 1-800-817-8409.
At Little Rock Family Dental Care, we take as much care with brand new teeth as we do with brand new teeth. Our knowledge, experience, and high-tech equipment allow us to offer our patients the best possible care available. Your smile will shine. Your family is busy. That's why we're open on Saturdays and available for after-hour emergencies.
With a general dentist and dental specialist under one roof and open 6 days a week, Little Rock Family Dental Care can take care of you.
Little Rock Family Dental Care. We look forward to seeing you smile.
Buy your new Lazy Boy leather recliner from Ferguson's and take it with you or get next day delivery. Ferguson's has all the new Lazy Boy leather recliners in stock. The big man, the ladies, the traditional, and the contemporary models in all the popular leather colors. And everyone is available with full power controls. Ferguson's in Benton, where you get the best prices and the best selection of Lazy Boy furniture. And you get it now. Ferguson's Furniture next to Walmart in Benton. Buy interest-free, and remember, nobody beats a Ferguson deal. Nobody. Ferguson's in Benton.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View, everyone. Tomorrow marks 1 year since life forever changed in two Faulkner County towns. Since the devastating 2014 tornado, Mayflower and Vilonia have relied on prayer, community, and leadership, largely from our guests this morning, Mayflower Mayor Randy Holland and Vilonia Mayor James Firestone. Welcome, gentlemen, both of you. I can't imagine any kind of preparation there is for someone who heads up a municipality for something like this. What was that first day like, or even, let's say, the day after, when the full scope of the damage came into play? Start with you.
Well, you get an idea of what you're going to be in for the minute you come into town and you see the extent of the damage. Of course, the storm happened at night. When you see it in the daylight the next morning, it's almost overwhelming when you realize what's ahead of you and what you're going to be dealing with for the next few months.
Where do you begin?
Well, we have to set up a command center. Our first responders have to get on ground. The first thing that you have a problem with is just trees being down, gas, water. It's almost like a bomb had went off, so you have to kind of contain that.
Was it one of those things where you took a second and you step back and say, gee, you're both, as mayors, you're used to helping out constituents. People have a problem, they call your office, you take care of it. This was months unfolding where everybody needed help. Where did you guys turn? Because even the helpers needed help.
But you really don't have time to stop and think. I mean, the minute you get on the scene, you're bombarded with questions. You know, where do we go? What do we do? What's going to happen? And like Mayor Holland said, the first thing you have to do is look at the incident command. You have to worry about search and rescue, because that's utmost importance, is to get to the people that are hurt and need assistance, and then you have to start worrying about the security. The first call that we made is to Department of Office of Emergency Management, which Office of Emergency Management in turn calls the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, who gets in touch with the governor, and then they start getting the help that you need right there, which it's a big help coming from them, because they take that responsibility off and bring that help in, and they decide who's going to be the first responders and who's going to be there and take care of you first.
What was the response like? I mean, was it? Did you get to a point where you just it was overwhelming? Because I know that Arkansas, everybody wants to help as soon as they can.
The first night, you actually it's totally dark, so you can't see anything. Most of the people started walking toward the light. Actually, there was a generator at Lumber 1, but you have a problem too, because I had hundreds of people at Lumber 1. I had to get them somewhere, so I had to get the school buses to get them to somewhere they could get the doctors and the nurses.
Did you see the response from the state right away? I mean, how would you classify that?
Absolutely, they were there right away. One of the things we were faced with, the cellular tower that our phone services works off of was gone, so we had kind of sketchy phone service. Our tower that our police and fire radios worked off of was destroyed, so we didn't have contact. We had to wait on the state police to get there with some A-Win radios and a tower, so we had communication between our police and fire and the other emergency responders, which
everyone certainly seemed to step up. I mean, if it was just a neighbor, from the neighbor to the governor's mansion, everyone seemed to get there.
Absolutely. We had one of the things, of course, we had so many people that showed up with chainsaws. I mean, people are there ready to go to work, and that's the last thing you need right off is people going into possibly live power lines, a dangerous situation. You know, we had so many houses that were destroyed. Gas, butane, natural gas, gas from cars. It was a very dangerous situation.
And you have to organize those volunteers. Even though that is a good thing, you have to have someone. Rubicon really helped us a lot. Samaritan's Purse and Dream Center.
There has to be a mindset now in both of your towns. Even this past week and moving into next week, we're in severe weather season. When you guys hear that there are warnings out there, what's the psyche like in your town for folks there? They've got to be awfully gun shy.
They're starting to prepare now. Just like we were thinking the last week we had some storms and stuff. They're already trying to clean up their storm cellar, making sure they got water, make sure they got the things. And so the awareness is a lot more now that I see.
And one of the things we had, the storm sirens were activated Sunday afternoon when the severe weather was coming through. I happened to be at the local grocery store when that happened. People, it was almost a state of panic. They were very much on edge, you know, not ready to go through another severe bout of weather.
And certainly we can't talk about this, which was just a tragic day, without, you know, noting the loss of life, which was devastating to so many folks there, to the town, to families. You can't replace those lives, but what has been the largest obstacle to overcome? Obviously mourning, after the mourning period, then moving on, but what's been the biggest thing to happen, to get through?
I think patience, because you have to have a plan for your cities, and that's what we're working on now. And people not understanding totally that it just takes time to put those plans together, and then you have to find the money to build it, and then you try to celebrate when you get through.
And I think people want things to happen very quickly, and what I've kind of said to folks, bad things happen fast, good things take time, so it takes a long time to come back from all this, and they have to be patient and understand there's a process we have to go through, just like the process we have to go through with FEMA. You know, everything takes time, and there's a lot involved. You don't just do something, you know, it takes time.
Where do your cities stand today?
Well, at this point, we have a lot of our houses. We had 159 houses that were totally destroyed, and a lot of those, probably between a third and a half of those, are built back. A lot of business. We had 21 businesses at the structures they were in that were totally destroyed. A lot of those are either built back or have relocated into other structures. So our business base is back up and doing well. We just had a rebuild on our city park last weekend, which that's a big thing for the kids. It's been the first project for the kids, you know, so this is something for them. And we have 2 ballparks that are under construction, a street project, so we have a lot going on, and we've accomplished a lot this
Phoenix is taking flight, as it were.
Yes, sir.
And your town.
And it's coming back. We've worked on a thing called Jump Start. We've had our town meetings, which even our student council is part of, and our senior citizens, everybody in the community, they're trying to get that plan together. We're going to unveil that Tuesday night, the 28th, and I think that's very important for us.
Certainly a lot is to be said about the folks who live in Vilonia and Mayflower. I mean, you could not believe, just witnessing them come together and do what they can for one another was, I guess you could say, the silver lining to the storm cloud.
Absolutely.
The biggest thing is because both of our communities are very strong, and they've stayed together, and that's really what it takes, is everybody working together.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking some time out this morning.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We're back right after this. You're watching Capitol View on this Sunday morning.
Looks like it's coming.
Your life doesn't have to stop when the power goes out. You can protect your home from power loss even during ice and snowstorms with one call to Power Systems by Royal. Our standby power systems turn on automatically and run on the natural gas line in your home, so you don't have to worry about dragging it out, filling it up, and running an extension cord throughout your home. Get power to your entire house within seconds. Keep important things like your refrigerator, lights, water, and heating unit running no matter what happens.
Call Royal Windows and More about a power system for your home. Get a free first-year maintenance agreement. Ask about interest-free financing. Make the call today about a power system to Royal Windows and More. 1-800-817-8409.
Whether it's residential or commercial, Bill's Fence Company installs all types of fencing, such as iron, wood, chain link, and vinyl. We also install gate operators and access controls. We offer free estimates in 90 days, same as cash. If you need a fence, you need Bill's Fence Company.
Buy your new Lazy Boy leather recliner from Ferguson's and take it with you or get next day delivery. Ferguson's has all the new Lazy Boy leather recliners in stock. The big man, the ladies, the traditional, and the contemporary models in all the popular leather colors. And everyone is available with full power controls. Ferguson's in Benton, where you get the best prices and the best selection of Lazy Boy furniture. And you get it now. Ferguson's Furniture next to Walmart in Benton. Buy interest-free, and remember, nobody beats a Ferguson deal. Nobody. Ferguson's in Benton.
This is an Allen family production. And here's why we love Chex. 1, we love choices, like chocolate, vanilla, and honey nut. 2, we don't love artificial colors or flavors. Does anybody? And 3, it's gluten-free. So, Chex is full of what you love, free of what you don't. Doesn't say that on the box. Maybe it should. Chex, full of what you love, free of what you don't.
One prescription that could provide relief when no others can. Should it be legal in Arkansas? Medical marijuana and one woman's struggle with life or death. Monday on KARK4 News at 10. You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View, everyone. Joining us once again, the moderator of NBC's Meet the Press, Chuck Todd. Chuck, welcome back. It seems like the last time we spoke was, well, just last week. It's good to have you on again.
I think that's right.
Hey, on Meet the Press this morning, you've got our governor up there, the current one.
I do, you know, he's in town. That's right. I think he's in town when it comes to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Of course, a big sort of political shindigs that have been happening all weekend long. But yes, Governor Hutchinson, who himself a former member of Congress, worked at Homeland Security, so he's got a pretty deep resume. So we've got a lot to discuss on the show, and he's going to be on the roundtable with the rest of our political experts. So it'll be fun and interesting to hear his point of views.
Yeah, he does. He's got a very interesting background here for a governor, especially holding a federal office in Congress, also with the Drug Enforcement Agency and other things like that, so you can tap into that. It's a deep well there. Something, though, that made headlines here was when we had the Religious Freedom Protection Act. I don't know if you guys took notice of that in his decision down here.
Well, we did, and look, we're going to have a big part of the show is with David Boies and Ted Olson, of course, the bipartisan legal team that faced off against each other during the Bush versus Gore Supreme Court decision, but teamed up in the biggest same-sex marriage decision that the court handed out on the Prop 8 in California, that overturned Prop 8 in California. And, of course, next week is the larger one where the decision, they're going to have the arguments about essentially, is it now going to be law of the land of all 50 states? And so, look, this issue is going to come up, and I think it is, you know, there are a lot of governors who argue that this should be a state decision, not in the federal courts and not a federal decision, and we'll be engaging on that debate, and I'm sure Governor Hutchinson will want to engage on that debate.
Absolutely. From our current governor to our former one, not the one elected president, but the one we presume will be running for president again, Mike Huckabee is about to announce plans for 2016. What kind of an impact do you think he's going to have in the GOP field?
Well, we'll see. You know, he wants to, look, where he was successful 8 years ago was galvanizing social conservatives, and he became the alternative to McCain, basically thanks to evangelical supporters, social conservatives. Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, has basically jumped, sort of leapfrogged Huckabee right now in all the polls, but particularly among evangelicals, out organizing him a little bit. And what I'm going to be interested to watch is Is there a reservoir of support from the past for Huckabee that sort of gets him back in? He's got some natural skills as a politician. I think might be the best retail politician of any of the guys running in 16 on the Republican side of the aisle. But has Ted Cruz gotten too much of a head start? Does Ted Cruz have more access to money? Where is Huckabee going to find the $50 million? I don't think he needs to match Jeb Bush dollar for dollar, but he may need about $50 million to run a credible campaign. Can he find that money? I don't know.
It seems, you know, last time around, you know, he went into Iowa and just came out gangbusters, and then things kind of fell off. What were the mistakes made back then? What does he need to do this time around?
Well, the mistakes back then is he was running basically a shoestring campaign, and you know, you got to build a campaign that can scale. It's like any business. When you sort of hit your hockey stick moment, can you scale and suddenly be a national candidate? Mike Huckabee was a terrific candidate in the state of Iowa in 2007. He had no infrastructure to move on to any other state, so everything became sort of a cobble together. If he's going to be successful and actually compete for the nomination, he's got to be able to put together an infrastructure that can scale if he grabs his hockey stick moment again in Iowa and is able to actually put together a national campaign. He did not. He had one state campaign 8 years ago. He's got to put together at least a 20-state campaign this time.
All right. Hey, Chuck, real quick, I don't think a lot of folks know, but you've got ties to Arkansas. You've got an uncle who lives in Mountain View. Want to give you the opportunity to give him a shout out.
I do. Good old Uncle Joe. He's a logger up there. And he's as good as it gets, and probably as hard-working as you can say. It sort of emits Arkansas. And let me tell you one other thing. He loves them hogs.
There you go. Go Hogs. Chuck Todd, moderator NBC Meet the Press. Thanks very much. And we're back right after this.
Looks like it's Thompson.
Your life doesn't have to stop when the power goes out. You can protect your home from power loss even during ice and snowstorms with one call to Power Systems by Royal. Our standby power systems turn on automatically and run on the natural gas line in your home, so you don't have to worry about dragging it out, filling it up, and running an extension cord throughout your home. Get power to your entire house within seconds. Keep important things like your refrigerator, lights, water, and heating unit running no matter what happens.
Call Royal Windows and More about a power system for your home. Get a free first-year maintenance agreement. Ask about interest-free financing. Make the call today about a power system to Royal Windows and More. 1-800-817-8409.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Thank you for sharing part of your Sunday morning with us. That's it for today's show. We're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Looks like it's Thompson.
Your life doesn't have to stop when the power goes out. You can protect your home from power loss even during ice and snowstorms with one call to Power Systems by Royal. Our standby power systems turn on automatically and run on the natural gas line in your home, so you don't have to worry about dragging it out, filling it up, and running an extension cord throughout your home. Get power to your entire house within seconds. Keep important things like your refrigerator, lights, water, and heating unit running no matter what happens.
Call Royal Windows and More about a power system for your home. Get a free first-year maintenance agreement. Ask about interest-free financing. Make the call today about a power system to Royal Windows and More. 1-800-817-8409.
Hi, I'm Missy Gibson. At John Gibson Auto Sales, it is our goal to meet all of our customers' needs. That is why we offer over 800 cars, trucks, SUVs, motorcycles, ATVs, boats, trailers, and RVs. We will finance your purchase regardless of your past credit history. Go online at johngibsonautosales.com and see our full inventory selection, which is updated daily. Come to 1425 Airport Road in Hot Springs, and we will have your purchase ready when you get here. See you soon online or in person.
Tell only pool and spa, is the expert in pool and spa water care, including salt water and automatic systems. Bring us a water sample for analysis today. Our family-run business can handle most any pool or hot tub-related repair. Plus, you'll find a huge selection of hot spring spas, the #1 selling spa in the world. When it comes to the care of your pool or spa, when you leave it to us, you can sit back, relax, and say,